What if one of the most terrifying survival strategies in human history wasn't about being stronger than your enemies, but simply refusing to stop? Imagine you're standing on an African plain tens of thousands of years ago. The sun is beating down. There is no water bottle, no shoes, no air conditioning, no medical kit. Ahead of you, an animal is running for its life, and you're chasing it. But you're not faster. You're not stronger. You don't have claws. You don't have fangs. You don't even have a particularly impressive sense of smell. And yet, somehow, you're the one who keeps coming. The animal runs. You follow. It stops. You stop. It runs again. You follow again. Hours pass, and eventually, something unbelievable happens. The animal collapses, not because you caught it in a sprint, but because you outlasted it. Before we get into how this brutal strategy worked, and why it may reveal something much bigger about human survival, subscribe to the Primal Logic for more stories about the strange evolutionary tricks that made us human. Now, let's go back to the beginning. For most of human history, survival looked completely unfair. Our ancestors lived alongside predators that could outrun them, overpower them, or kill them with a single bite. A lion didn't need a strategy meeting. A leopard didn't need a spear. A hyena didn't need to invent fire. Humans seemed badly designed for the job. We're relatively slow sprinters. Our babies are helpless for years. Our teeth aren't particularly dangerous. Our bodies aren't covered in fur or armor. And if you dropped a modern human into the wilderness with nothing, their brain would probably say, absolutely not. But there was one strange advantage hiding underneath all those weaknesses. Our bodies were built for endurance. Humans can sweat across most of the skin. That sounds completely ordinary. It isn't. Many mammals primarily cool themselves through panting, but heavy panting becomes difficult while running. Humans can keep moving while sweating and breathing normally. We also have relatively long legs, efficient upright movement, and an ability to regulate heat while exercising. And then there's something even stranger. Our ancestors could keep following a moving animal long after the animal had escaped the initial danger. This created a completely different kind of hunting. Not a race, a war of endurance. Imagine an antelope spotting a group of humans. It bolts. For the first few seconds, it's almost ridiculous. The animal disappears into the distance. The humans have no chance. Except, they don't need one. They keep moving. Eventually, the animal slows down. Maybe it stops to look back. Maybe the humans stop too. Then it runs again. And again, the humans follow. This is where the strategy becomes brutal. The goal isn't necessarily to catch the animal quickly. The goal is to force it to spend energy escaping repeatedly. And in extreme heat, that can become dangerous. An animal can begin overheating. Its ability to cool itself becomes less effective. The humans, meanwhile, can continue sweating and moving. Eventually, the animal may become exhausted enough to be approached. This behavior is known as persistence hunting, and researchers have documented it among some traditional human hunting communities. But here's where things get weird. Persistence hunting probably wasn't the secret that single-handedly made humans survive. The bigger story is much more powerful. Because endurance wasn't just about hunting, it was part of a larger human strategy. Adapt instead of specialize. Think about the fastest predator you've ever seen. It is incredibly good at one thing: running. Now think about a human. We're mediocre at almost everything physically, but we're unusually flexible. We can walk, we can run, we can throw, we can climb, we can make tools, we can control fire, we can cooperate, we can remember landscapes, and we can teach all of that to someone else. That last ability may have changed everything, because an animal can learn from experience. Humans can inherit information without inheriting genes. A child doesn't have to discover fire from scratch. Someone can simply show them. You don't need to personally learn which plants are dangerous. Someone can warn you. You don't need to experiment with every hunting technique. Someone can teach you work yesterday. This created something evolution had never seen at such a scale: knowledge that could accumulate. One generation learned something, the next generation added to it, then another, and another. Eventually, humans weren't just adapting biologically, we were adapting culturally. And cultural adaptation can move incredibly fast. A wolf population can't invent a better spear because winter arrived. Humans can. A changing environment doesn't necessarily require thousands of generations of genetic evolution. Humans can change their behavior within a lifetime. But there's another piece of the puzzle: cooperation. Now you'd think the strongest individual would be the most likely to survive. Evolution had another plan. Imagine 10 early humans encountering a dangerous predator. One person alone is vulnerable. 10 people watching, shouting, carrying weapons, protecting children, and communicating are something else entirely. Humans turned numbers into a weapon. We could share food, warn one another, protect injured members, care for children collectively, and hunt animals far larger than any single person could handle. This meant survival didn't depend entirely on the strongest individual. It depended on the group. And that may help explain one of humanity's strangest features. We are extraordinarily dependent on one another. A newborn human is almost comically helpless. A baby cannot run from a predator. It can't find food. It can't build shelter. It can't even regulate its own environment very well. Yet humans became one of the planet's most successful large mammals. Not because our babies were tough, because someone was there to protect them. And here's the part almost nobody realizes. The same species that could spend hours exhausting an animal could also spend hours doing something completely different. Talking, sharing information, planning, remembering, teaching. Humans didn't just survive the environment. We started building a mental version of the environment inside our heads. A river wasn't just water. It was a landmark. A mountain wasn't just rock. It was a location. A particular season wasn't just weather. It was a prediction. This animal passes here. Water appears after the rains. Don't go there. Come back tomorrow. Suddenly, survival wasn't only about physical strength. It was about information. And information could travel farther than your body ever could. But that's only half the story, because eventually humans discovered another terrifying advantage. We could change the environment itself. Fire transformed food. Tools transformed hunting. Clothing expanded the places humans could live. Shelters changed the meaning of bad weather. Weapons changed the balance between humans and predators. And once humans began combining tools, cooperation, endurance, and knowledge, something extraordinary happened. The environment itself became part of the human survival system. A predator has its body. A human has a body, plus everything humans can create. That's a completely different equation. And this is why saying humans outlived every other species isn't quite accurate. We didn't outlive every species. Most species alive today are not human. Many animals are far older than our species. What humans did was something more unusual. We became extraordinarily adaptable. We survived ice ages, droughts, changing landscapes, new predators, new diseases, and enormous shifts in food sources. Not because we were perfectly designed for each environment, but because we could keep changing. That's the real survival method. Not speed, not strength, not claws, not even persistence hunting by itself. It was persistence of a different kind. The ability to keep trying, keep learning, keep cooperating, and keep changing the rules. An animal may evolve a body perfectly suited to its environment. Humans discovered something more dangerous. We could modify ourselves to suit the environment. And once that ability began accelerating, the ancient human story stopped being just about surviving nature. It became a story about transforming it. Which leaves us with a strange question. If our greatest evolutionary advantage was the ability to adapt, what happens when humans create an environment that changes faster than our biology ever could? Because the survival trick that saved our ancestors thousands of years ago might be the same trick that determines whether we survive the future. If you enjoyed exploring this mystery, subscribe to the Primal Logic for more fascinating stories about humans, nature, science, and the hidden reasons behind the world around us.